So in this video, I just want to go over some of the defaults of pgModeler and why you might want to change them, I guess. So I'm going to make a new model in that. And because pgModeler doesn't know about your database, what users you have, what databases you have and schemas you have, it has to set some defaults and tries to set some safe ones in that. And so if we go into objects here on the bottom, and we go into a new database and we go properties and object defaults over here, we'll see that you're in any database you're going to have at least one schema public, right? So that we know that in advance, so it says, well, I'll just set that to the default, and it has no idea what accounts you're going to have in the database, but there's usually a super user account, so just okay, set it to Postgres, right? That'll be safe. But in the end, that can cause a lot of problems when you export your model in that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a quick model, and I'm not going to change these, and I'll generate the SQL, and I will show you the problem in that. And so I'm just going to come in here, and I will right-click, new schema object, create a table, in that, and I'll follow a previous example I did with a community garden, but I won't do the full model. I'll make a gardeners table, and I will set some columns. So the first column I want to make is probably gardener ID. Small int's fine. I'll make this a primary key. Every relational table needs to have a primary key. And I will add another column. I'm going to call it name for like the gardener's name. And then down here, I'm going to start typing character vary. There we go. I'll make it 50. You can see it filling in the type constructor down below for me, which is all good. I want it to be required, not null, in that, and I'll go apply. Okay. Notice that it put it in public.gardeners, right, by default. If we actually go back and look at this, because we may not have picked it up in the before, but notice that the owner is Postgres. Okay, it's going to cause problems later on in that. You would have to be the super user of the database, logged in as the super user of the database for this in order to forward engineer the SQL in that. I'll bring in a new table, schema object table, and it's going to be a plots table. Notice schema public owner Postgres is the default column, or primary for the primary key will be plots ID, and small int is fine. Check the PK checkbox, and then we will add another one, section, and that will be character vary 1. Now I know the database purists will be screaming about that one, but that's okay. And I also have another field called number, which is very dangerous. That it could easily be a reserve word in another database, so I would avoid these in real life. This looks okay, not null, apply. I'm going to double check section there. I didn't think I actually selected not null, and I'll go apply. Okay, and then I will join these two tables. A gardener can have many plots that they grow food in, so we'll go one to many, or maybe flowers, and we'll just click over here, and I'll just accept all the defaults. Do I want to? Not really. I don't like the way it names columns, so I usually change that. I like my columns for my foreign and primary key to match exactly. So here, gardener ID matches exactly gardener ID. So I like that. Do I want to put anything else in here? This is enough, I guess, to demonstrate the issue if I just run with the defaults in that. And so what I'll do here, I should probably validate this, right? And it's okay. That first message, we're not connected to the database, which is true, but it went through. It says, okay, no, that model looks okay right now. And now I'm going to save this out to disk. So just up here, save the model. Now I save the model and I'm going to export this out as SQL. Hopefully it remembered where it was. Yeah, that's a fine place, and we'll call it test defaults version 1. Okay, there we go. And I'll export it. Looks like it was successful, so I'm good with that. I'll close the window. Now what I'll do is I'll open up that same file in Notepad++. So I double clicked on the file, and based on my system, that throws it into VS Code, which is okay in that. And so there's a couple issues here that you're going to run into. One is your database is already created. So usually close to around line 12 in this version, it says create database. But in our case, our database is already created. But the reality is your database may not be created, right? And so it puts it in there by default. So it's not a problem. A little double hyphen in front of it, and that comments it out. And then we have these ones, these create table ones. This is perfect. It's exactly what you want. But then we have these alter table public gardeners owner to Postgres. Not what we want, okay? And that sort of thing. And so I am going to comment those out. And you'll probably find another one. You'll find one for every table, maybe even the schema if you put it into a schema. Right? Now this alter table adding the foreign key constraint, that's what creates that line we see in the model. We need to keep that. This is where we're altering the ownership. Right, so that alter one about altering the table, adding a foreign key references, that's what that line means in that. So I'll just bring that back again. And so what were the edits that I made? Well, I told it don't create the database because it's already made. Right? Don't alter the owner because I want whoever runs the script to be the owner. Now this is only in the case where you ran with the default settings of pgModeler and didn't adjust ownership in that. And so those were you would have to make all those edits to your SQL file. I'll show you another technique that we can do as well. Okay. So I'm just going to close, actually, well, I'll close this here. We'll come back here and we'll make a new model. Now, the first thing you probably want to do is we probably want to make a schema to put everything into. And so I always say, okay, do I just want this going to the public schema or not? I really don't, usually if I'm testing something and that. So I'll come over to my schemas. It's a brand new diagram. I'm going to come over, I'm going to go new schema. Notice it says owners Postgres. Well, I don't want that. That's going to cause me problems. I'll call this demo. So I have a demo schema or a testing schema or something like that. And so that's good. That's there. I like that. Now I'm going to go up to the database and that. And we'll pretend I have a database called demo, which is going to have a demo schema, and it's owned by the demo user and that. So I'm just going to go database properties here, and I will change it. In the videos, I'll probably tell you to use your student ID as the database and that. So here I'm just going to call this demo database, right? But then I also want to, I'll apply that, bring it back up, it changed the name. That's really good. I'm going to go back in and go properties. And I will go default objects. Now the key here is, hey, by default, right, actually put it into my demo schema. Right, don't put it into public. Now, if anything ever goes missing, tables goes missing in PostgreSQL, it's a great place to check. Go check the public schema, it might be there. And then sweep out this Postgres. You don't want that, okay? And so what I'll do now is I'll do that same same set of tables, schema object. I'll make a gardeners table and a plots table and join them. So then I'll go schema object table. I'll make it just like before. And I will add a column called gardener ID. Small int's fine for this demonstration. I'll make another column called name, and character variant is fine, 50. Make sure it's required, aka not null. Gardener's a primary key, apply, done. Now, I was just in there clicking on stuff. Automatically it put it into demo. Why? Right? in that because I set the default to demo. The owner is blank because I sweeped it out. I don't want Postgres to own anything. Whoever runs the script will own the table. That's sort of the default settings in the database. So I'm going to go over here, new database object, well, actually schema object actually, in that, and I will make the plots table. Notice it fills in demo schema, the schema to demo because I set that as the database default in that. So, and the owner is cleared out, and that's actually what I want in that. And so how about just plots? Yes, no, I want it again, plots. And I'll go plot ID. Small int is fine. It's going to be the primary key. And I will add another column, well, section and number, just like before. In that, and number, no, it's a varchar of 1. Again, database purist will be screaming. Not null, apply. And I will bring in number. And again, do as I say, not as I do. I would stay away from this, right? Just because of working with other systems, they could be using number as a data type. And that we're okay here in Postgres right now. And I will small int, that is fine. Not null is fine. And we'll go apply. That looks good, apply. And then we'll right click Gardeners, new relationship, one to many, and we'll click here. And yeah, I don't like the default naming conventions because it blows up natural joins eventually in that. Now, should I validate it? Yep, always a good idea in that. So I will, the thing now is that because I set the defaults, now I'm going to do one little thing here. On properties, I'm going to right click the database here and I go properties and I'm going to disable the SQL. What does that mean? Right? That's a good question, right? What it means is that I'm telling it, look, you don't need to create the demo database because it already exists in that. So what I'll do is I'll save this out to disk. I'll validate it, yes. And we'll call this, yeah, custom defaults. All right, so we made some custom defaults, and I'll export the SQL here, export, and we'll go SQL, save it again. We'll say test custom defaults. And I will open up custom defaults in VS Code again. Now, what you might notice is that all it did is it kept the line, but it commented out the line for me. Okay, so create database demo because I disabled it. So it says, okay, we'll leave it there, but comment it out. It's still going to create the schema demo because that potentially doesn't exist. Again, if the demo schema exists, then by all means go there and disable the SQL. But what you'll probably notice is as you scroll through here is that you don't see the alter table set owner 2. Okay, and then he's got some extra stuff in here about dropping stuff just in case if you need to rerun the script. Just hedging, but it's commented out, but they're available for you. But basically, this is sort of a cleaner way to do it. If you don't mention the owner, then it's whoever runs the script, which is typically what you want. And if you know the database already exists, then you can disable the line that actually creates the database. So that's what I wanted to show you in this video. That's all for now.